Boisai, let's go for it. We got a beautiful sugya today of Hashavas Aveida, Geschmack. All right, let's get involved. I'll start with a little story. You ready? There was once a guy, he had his non-from cousin. He said, come, you're traveling to Israel. Go to shiur. And he dragged him in. He got him to go to shiur. And the guy, he was expecting it was going to be like some discovery shiur, proving Yiddishkeit or whatever. And the guy, for some reason, ended up at some shiur and Elam Mitzias. And they're hacking back and forth, returning a lost object. Do you have to return? Do you not have to return? Where did you find it? Was there simon, etc.? And afterwards, the cousin called. Okay, so you went to the shiur. How was the shiur? He's like, pretty boring about returning lost items and not. He's like, oh, that's the shiur you ended up at? And okay, fine. This guy went to continue his travels to look for the truth and look for meaning in life. And then he went around to different places, India and all these, who knows where, Thailand, and I don't know where else. So he ended up in some mountain with some monk. And they were walking somewhere, and he's looking for meaning in life. And the monk sees a wallet on the floor. And the monk picks it up. And the guy says, oh, are you going to return it to the owner? And the monk says, no. The gods have gifted me this wallet, even though there's a clear name and everything in it. And this guy said, this guy is supposed to be so holy. He just goes and chaps Orion on whatever he finds. You know what? I think there's something with that Yiddishkeit. And as the story goes, obviously he came back and became from and became a Rosh Hashiva and became a God. I don't know what he became. I'm not really sure how the story exactly, but Lamaisa, I think it was a happy ending. So that's the story. Okay, so let's get involved. Now, I found the Hashavas Aveida to be a very interesting topic. In which respect, that when it comes to the basic, simple pshat, like starting the sugya, everybody started the sugya. Everybody knows the basics of the sugya. Everybody learned Elam Mitzias at some point. We know a little bit, but to master the sugya, it's difficult. It's a challenging sugya to master. It's an easy sugya to get your feet wet. It's a challenging sugya to master. But I don't think we're afraid of challenges over here, right? I don't think so. Okay, so let's do it. So, and I also found in terms of shiurim and svarim, and there's a little poskim, there's a little bit less written on this sugya than you may expect. It's such a common sugya. It happens all the time that we find lost items, and I'm not saying there isn't a lot written on it. There's a good amount, but not as much as you would expect. And shiurim, etc. I was in Torah anytime looking, a couple here, a couple there, nothing like major. And I think I realized the reason. And I realized it myself as well. But most of the shiurim that I give on is stuff that I've already delved into it. Maybe I've never given a shiur on it before I start giving a shiur, but it's something that I learned. It's usually Orach Chaim or Yoreh Deah. I learned most of Orach Chaim and most of Yoreh Deah. So, beseder, I could go give the shiur. But Hashavas Aveida is in Chosh Mishpat. I never learned Chosh Mishpat seriously, and I think a lot of other people have never learned Chosh Mishpat seriously. And therefore, I think there's less material on it. That was just a little bit of a theory of mine. So let's get involved. Time to roll up our sleeves. Let's get it. Let's have some fun. Okay, so let's do this. Now, some people assume Hashavas Aveida is like, it's a nice deed. If you're a good guy, if you're a nice boy, you want some extra brownie points, you want to be a Yiras Shamayim, so you do Hashavas Aveida. And if you're not down, you don't do Hashavas Aveida. That seems to be the feeling in society. However, when we start to investigate, we rip open the hood and see what's under. Wait a second. You have a mitzvah asay, hashev teshivam. You have a mitzvah asay. You have to return the lost object. If you don't return the lost object, bitul asay. And there's an Isser Lav of Leitasalim. When you see the lost object, you can't just look the other way. Shmir Sanayim is for women, not for lost objects. So if you see the lost object around and you just pretend you didn't see it or walk the other way, whatever, Isser Deraisa Lav Leitasalim. And if you pick up an item that's meant to be returned and you pocket it and you keep it, that's an Isser Gezela. So we're not just dealing with, being a nice boy and being a good guy. We're dealing with chiyuvim midaraisa and isurei daraisa. So this is a real deal. It's not just about being bonus points, brownie points for the good boy. This is actual chiyuvim, just like all our other actual chiyuvim around. So that, I think, is going to be surprising to some. So Lamaisa, what are the guidelines of Hashavas Aveida? So the first thing that one needs to assess and judge is this item actually lost? Yeah? Is it lost? Or did the owner just place it there? And he's going to come back later to get it. Is it a lost object? So, how do you know? Excuse me, Mr. Object, are you lost or not? Oh, just ask the owner. Yeah, well, if the owner was here, then it wouldn't be much of a question, would it be? So, how are we meant to know? Ani lo navi, ani lo ben navi. How are you meant to know? You can't ask the item. You can't ask the owner. How are you meant to know what's going on? So, Chazal, the Torah, Chazal, etc., set us up with guidelines of how we should know. So, there's a Gemara, B'Metziach, Chafchei Beis, and this is brought lahalacha in the Shulchan Aruch and Ramah in Siman Reish Samach, which explains that an item that seems to have been placed, the term derech hanacha, not that it fell, not spread out across the floor, neatly placed, yeah? If an item is placed in a safe place, a guarded place, a place that you don't expect it to be stolen from, and by the way, depending on the item, you could have the same place, it could be guarded for one item and not guarded for another item, right? Nobody's going to steal your sweater there, but your electric bike, maybe they will, depending on, or, if somebody leaves their wallet there, it might not be shomer for a wallet, but it could be shomer for a sweater. So we're going to have to investigate which places we're talking about. But if you see derech hanacha, the sweater was left folded nicely on the table in shul, should you pick that up and try to find the owner? So, first guideline is, no. If it looks derech hanacha, looks like it was placed neatly, in a relatively safe place, right, in shul, safe place, then don't take it. It's not, for two reasons. The first reason is, it's not an Aveida. And the second reason is, you're not exactly helping the owner. You're causing the owner hardship. How are you causing the owner hardship? Well, if it's an item that has a siman, instead of the owner just being able to go back and get his sweater, now he has to go through the hassle of finding your sign that you put up or you put in the shul WhatsApp chat. Anybody lost a sweater and he has to contact you and give his some money and get the sweater back, etc. That's a pain in the neck. It's a lot easier to just go to the table and get your sweater. And if the item doesn't have a siman, then you messed him up even more. Because the guy's not going to be able to give you back the item. You're going to say, can I have my sweater back? He's going to say, do you have a siman? No. He'll say, sorry. But I'm a nice guy. Sorry. So you better leave his sweater there and you'll have less problems than he'll prefer it. So number one, it's not a derech hanacha, nicely placed, safe place. You're not helping him. It's not an Aveida, and you're not helping him. So don't pick it up.
If you have Mesupik, how it's...
So we're gonna get to Suffolk in a second. Good.
Derech hanacha just means anything that would be a normal way to place that object in this kind of place.
Correct. Meaning you usually it's very distinct, the difference between how something looks when it fell or when it was placed. So it looks like it was placed. Yeah? Fine. Now, an item that is found, derech hanacha, in an unsafe place. Let's say you see your art school menachos is on the seat of a bus. Yeah, it's on the seat of a bus, the art school menachos, and it's in Machane Yehuda, on the side ledge by the. Now, it's not a safe place for it. It's very hard to get back on the bus to get your art school menachos back, right? But it has his name on it. Let's say it has a simon. But it's not on the floor. It was nicely placed. But there's nobody near that seat, or there's nobody near that area in the shuk where it was left. Should you pick it up or not? So let's talk about a case first with that has a simon, right? So pick up the item. Yes, you should pick up the item with a simon. Why? because you're helping the owner. If you pick it up, you could do your shtadlus, which we'll discuss later what the shtadlus is, to try to find the owner. And he'll come with a siman, and he'll get the object back. As opposed to, if it stays in a lost zone, so he's probably not going to ever get it back. So, and you can't have the svar that he just was put it there on purpose, because nobody puts an item in a completely unsafe place on purpose. Probably what happened was he put it down for a second, and then he forgot about it. He walked off the bus, leaving his Gemara there. So in such a case, it's better off to pick it up. What about if it has no siman? So then it's So then it gets a little complicated if it has no siman. Let me put that on the side for a second. So what if the item is found in a semi-safe place? Yeah? If the item is found in a semi-safe place, which is a place that, like, as we said, you're not really sure if, like, would somebody leave their sweater on the bench in Godstocker or not really? Like, I don't forget, maybe we'll get through more examples, etc. But it's like a place where it could get stolen, but like I don't know if I really expect it to get stolen. So if somebody leaves something like that, should I pick it up and try to find the owner?
If there's a siman, yes. If not, then no.
Very good, correct. So if there's a siman, very good. If there's a siman, yes, where it is, it might get stolen. Now, if I go in and take it, so now I could be machras it, and he comes with the siman, he'll get his item back. Whereas if there's no siman, how am I going to help him exactly? He may come back to get it, right? And if I take it, he's not getting it back. Because even if he comes and says, I lost the sweater, I can't give it back to him if he doesn't have a siman. So I'm going to have to hold on to it until Eliyahu Hanavi. And if I have to hold on to it till Eliyahu Hanavi, I didn't really help him. So therefore, I should take it. The problem with this is, and this is something that I struggle with, I'm going to leave it as tzarachin for now. I hope to get back to it. Let's say this example of Gan Soccer, which I think we'll use as a good example of the park, which is partially guarded, half safe, half not safe, right? Most people who left the sweater there would rather it be left there than my little sign and trying to track me down. L'chaira, it's easy. There's a higher likelihood of them getting the item back if I leave it on the park bench versus me putting up a sign there. So I hear when I put down the stats, it sounds like it's a good idea to take it. But I think from a probability standpoint, I think it's probably more likely for that guy to get his item back. Because usually when you put a little sign there, people usually don't end up calling. It's just how it usually works. So I'm going to leave that as Tzarech Ian for now. Fine. Now, if you find an item that looks like it was dropped, or it looks like it fell, right, from the owner, so now you know it's an Aveida. It doesn't make a difference where it was. But if it fell, now you know it's a lost item, right? Nobody leaves their jacket splat over the floor. It's not a normal place to, or, whatever cards, credit card, whatever it is, something that's just spread all over the floor is the normal way to leave something. And therefore, you know it's Aveida. And if you know it's Aveida, you could assume the owner's not coming back for it. So that in such a case, you're going to pick it up and you're going to try to find the owner, once again, assuming there aren't other reasons that you're allowed to keep it.
But that's not in a place that's a normal place you would find it.
It's not a normal place for somebody to leave it. Right. Yeah.
Meaning if I leave my sweater on the chair and it falls on the floor and it's just
right. So
it's in shul, that's not the kind of place where someone's going to steal my sweater. I'm not worried. Like I'm going to come back for it.
Oh, so you're asking if it's the reason why when it's on the floor, we're going to go announce it, even if it's in a safe place, is because we're concerned that you don't know where it is. Meaning, it happens to be the jacket, example, you might be able to really know where it is. But let's say a smaller item that that might have fallen out of your pocket. I'm just thinking,
Ravkov, whatever.
Your Ravkov, yeah, your nameless Ravkov, right? Once again, that's probably gonna be something without a siman, but maybe it's like chipped up, scratched up, whatever. There might be some siman on it, yeah.
Name, my phone number, whatever.
Yeah, there's some siman on it. Let's say whatever it is, yeah, scratched up Ravkov with a smiley face scratched onto the Ravkov. So you find that on the floor of the shul, a Ravkov with a smiley face scratched onto it. Now that you do pick up. Why? Because we assume that the guy who lost it has no idea where it is.
Maybe he will remember, oh, I left it in the store.
Right, but since it's on the floor, our greatest assumption, it's all possibilities, but our greatest assumption is he doesn't know where it is.
And
therefore, we
sweatshirt?
should pick it up and be machras.
And a sweatshirt.
See, a sweatshirt now already is, it's getting a little difficult as a judgment call, but the simple rule is that if you see that sweatshirt on the floor, yes, pick it up and be machras. Right. Now, if it's like, you could tell that it was on the chair 2 minutes ago and it fell off the chair, then it's fine. You can leave it on the chair. Yeah, he's going to come back. So you have to, this is one of these halachos, one of the reasons that this halakha is complicated is you need a brain. Yeah, brain needed. But you can't always rely on your brain. So you have to also know the rules. So that's what makes it complicated, because you have to rely on the rules, but you have to use your brain to figure out which rules it fits into. That's what I agree. This is a challenge of the sugya 100%. Fine.
We need the feeling also more of it.
Maybe. Let's see, yeah. So if the fallen item doesn't have a siman, yeah. So let's say you see something on the floor without a siman. Yeah, you see a regular Ravkov without the smiley face scratched onto it. So you generally won't be able to return it, because even if a guy says, "Oh, but I lost the Ravkov," so how do I know you're the owner? I don't know you're the owner. So therefore, you're generally not going to be able to return it, and therefore you need to hold it to Eliyahu Hanavi. Comes and tells you, by the way, that's Yankel's Ravkov. So that's what you do. You find the Ravkov on the floor, pick it up, you hold it, assuming there wasn't Yish. We're going to discuss that later. But pick it up, hold it to Eliyahu Hanavi, and then, Eliyahu Hanavi is going to tell you who to give it back to. Now, do I have to pick up an item that I have no chance of returning? I have no chance of finding the item. I can see on the floor, it's a Ravkov, it has no simanim. Do I have to pick it up, and do I have to bother with this? So Dr. Akiva Eger, Rav Yashiv actually passes this way. Since you're not going to be mekayim the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveida, because you're not going to get it back to the owner, therefore you don't have to pick it up. Which is really a major chiddush, because who says I'm not going to be mekayim the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveida? Tomorrow, Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come, tell me whose it is, and I'll be mekayim the mitzvah. It's Eliyahu Hanavi's mitzvah now? No, he's just telling me who to return it to, l'chayra. Or maybe I'm not mekayim the mitzvah because the mitzvah is returning with simanim and I don't have simanim. I am mekayim the mitzvah. All right, whatever. The Meister of Akiva Eger says, I guess since it's not biyadi, it's not in my hands to go to complete the mitzvah, I don't have a chiyuv. Huh?
The Osset Lova is like a different world. Like in this world,
it's real! It's real!
The Osset Lova, I don't think the Torah was mechayiv me to mekayim Hashavas Aveida that you could be mekayim on the Osset Lova.
You see why I'm going to argue with you, right? Okay, very good. Maybe you have a Akiva Eger down. Zak the Shulchan Aruch Harav, the Chazanish, Moshe Feinstein, they don't like the svar at all. They say, no, you have to pick it up. You have to pick it up, you return it. Listen, a little patience. And you return it when Eliyahu Hanavi comes to tell you. Okay, we'll discuss later some alternative things that could be done besides holding on to it until Eliyahu Hanavi. We'll discuss. Now, who's better in Tzvar? I think the Shulchan Aruch Harav, or Moshe Feinstein, Chazanish. I think they're better in Tzvar. Because right now I have a mitzvah to do the Hashavas Aveida. I pick it up, I do what I could. First of all, maybe Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come tomorrow. Second of all, so I did a half a mitzvah. Is a half a mitzvah bad? Is it worthless?
No, I'd say that. But there's a chesar into the Baal.
I'm hurting him.
And meaning, if I lose something, and there's no simon, there's no way for me to get it back if I pick it up. So if I'm walking down the street and I drop my Rav cup with nothing on it, with no simon, right? It could be that I'll be like, you know what? I walked down Diskin. I'm gonna go check over there. Right? I've had that happen. Many people, everyone's had that happen.
So there's a chance.
There's a chance that I'm gonna go back and find it. But if you pick it up, then I can't have it.
Yeah.
I want it back.
We know that in general, we assume when somebody knows that they lost something without a simon, they're miyayish. So they don't expect to get it back. But you're saying even though they don't expect to get it back, there's a chance. And therefore there's a chance it's better than this guy holding it to Eliyahu Navi. I guess he also doesn't think it's coming tomorrow. Okay, so...
It's just very schwer for me, like when the Torah came, and the Torah gave me a chiyuv of Hashavas Aveida, which has to do here with Eliyahu Navi. This is like something, wow, it's a whole different world. The Torah's Machayev, here on the Mitzvah.
But I don't know who the owner is.
If there's no chance, so then you pot him.
Oh, you think I should be potter? Okay, question.
So
I don't know who he passing like. It's not clear who he passing like. I think the minog. I don't know. I think the minog seems to be like Rav Elyashiv. I think people aren't so makbid to go pick up every item that there isn't a simon on. Okay. Now, there are a couple of cases where you will have to return the item even without a simon. What are those cases? First of all, I know who the owner is. Is there a simon on this jacket? No, but I know it's his jacket. Or there are eidim that say this item belongs to somebody. Even if there's no simon, I'll have to return it. Now, these two cases are pretty unlikely. And the reason why these two cases are pretty unlikely is because if we're dealing with an item that has no simon, it's going to be difficult for Adam to say with certainty that this item belongs to Yankel. Because once again, it's a very generic item. So when you have a very generic item, it's difficult to say with certainty it belongs to somebody. It's possible, but it's difficult.
So you're saying that if something already is a unique item, that's already considered being a simon?
Yeah, we're gonna see the major usually
out of something that someone finds.
Yeah, so simanim are usually gonna be based on uniqueness, as we're gonna discuss later, probably next week. Just saying the pen was a blue Parker pen is not a simon because there's thousands of blue Parker pens, and therefore that won't be a simon. But if you say the Rav Kav is scratched with the smiley face, that is a simon. It has to be something unique, which now in our once upon a time, most things were unique. Nowadays, that we have factories generically making gazillion items, so it's actually harder to get simanim on certain items. So we'll get into that when we get there. Now, the third case, which is what do you think about this? You don't have a simon, but you could pull up the videotape and show that you dropped it. So that is like edus. That's yediyah. That's like edus. It's a proof that that this is the guy who dropped it. So if the guy shows up with videotape showing that he dropped it, I would have said a year or two ago, obviously just hand it over to him. I'm starting to get a little nervous with the creation of AI videos. And as they keep on getting better and better and better, especially if you're dealing with an expensive item, and the guy, that diamond ring that you said you found, I dropped it. You want to see the video? So I'm starting to get a little nervous with these things. I would say you have to be certain that this is a legitimate video and not like some AI creation. And
what about every Jesus Kashrus?
No, Jesus Kashrus is not a raya.
I'm saying a from guy comes up and says,
"That's why you need Adam."
Here's the video. Here's the video of it getting done. I have to be chayshish this from guy.
The question is, which I'm not enough of a technical AI wizard on this one, but is that a proof? When you see the video of the guy dropping it, is it a proof or is it likely? Once again, if he's the guy claiming, I can't use his chesed kashrus if he's the guy claiming. If the video maybe comes from somebody else, maybe I could use chesed kashrus. But the guy who's trying to get the diamond ring, it's very difficult for me to rely on his chesed kashrus for him to get the diamond ring. Because he may just be a trickster who's good with AI videos. So that's once again, I'm just saying, you have to know a little bit You have to make that. Once again, I'm really talking maybe less for today. I really might be talking about more for another year or two from now. I'm talking about today already. Okay, I'm talking about today. So, it's exactly. Okay. So, I think most AI videos still won't trick me, right?
No, most AIs, you don't know. It's obvious.
Yeah. But there are things that can trick me already.
There's a lot of stuff that's getting very, very good, very fast, and there are definitely videos today that easily could trick 90% of people if they're not stopping to pay very close attention.
Okay, so that's be careful. Okay, next case, the fourth example of when I can return an item even without a siman is if the one claiming to have lost the item is a Talmud Chacham who doesn't mishana his words, who always says truth, so you can return it to him without a siman. He just needs tfiyas ayin. He just needs to recognize the item, and as long as this Talmud Chacham recognizes the item, you give it to him. Now the Sma says that I'm not so sure we have tzarchin if we have these guys around nowadays. I guess he didn't hear too many of our Pesach Kron stories, so the Sma was not so convinced that there's so many of these guys around nowadays. Tzarchin if we still have such people that you can just rely on their words. However, the Taz, the Aruch HaShulchan, Shvus Yaakov, or Moshe, they were more charitable, and they said, yeah, there are people around like this nowadays, and if they, you could rely on them if they say that they lost the item. Rav Moshe Feinstein was asked, and he said that not everybody that's called B'nai Torah automatically fit into this klal of never being Mishana Dvarav, and therefore you can rely on them. In fact, there are some people nowadays who are called Rabbanim who don't meet this criteria. So that's how Rav Moshe puts it. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan, he actually has something interesting. Now, the Lashon of the Gemara is a Tzorma of the Rabbanim, or the Lashon Shulchan Aruch, Talmud Chacham. But the Aruch HaShulchan says anybody who is known to be trustworthy, that good Yeki Yid, he's not no Talmud Chacham, but that the old Yeki man who never lied in the last 60 years because he's straight as an arrow, even though he's not a Talmud Chacham, so that the Aruch HaShulchan, this din would apply to him as well. Now, fine. There are multiple exceptions and where the finder does not need to return the item. Yeah, there are cases where even the guy finds it, may have a siman, but he still will not have to return it. What are the cases of somebody that finds an item and he does not need to return it?
Meaning he gets to keep it?
He can keep it. He can keep it, or if he wants, he can just walk past it and not pick it up, or he can give it to his friends. Yeah, what are these cases? So number one is if the item is worth less than a shava pruta. If the item is worth less than a shava pruta, there's no chiyuv to return it. How much is a shava pruta? So usually we judge based on the weight of silver, etc. Silver's up these days, right? So usually it's based on the weight of silver. Happens to be, interestingly, Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Elyashiv both say in this scenario it's based on the denomination, the lowest denomination that could purchase something. So let's talk in Eretz Yisrael. A shekel. You could buy like one of those sour belts by one of these little candy stores. The shekel stores went up to shekel and a half, most of them. So that's actually, it used to be the raya, but it changed. Then most of them are shekel and a half. But then you could buy like a lot of these like makolets. You could buy like a sour belt for a shekel. So that's still a shekel case. I don't think you get much for half a shekel. I think for the most part you can't buy anything for half a shekel. So we'll say a shekel is the shava pruta. What about in America? So I did a little research today. Apparently there's still those gumball machines that you could put a quarter in and get yourself a gumball.
I think it's 50 cents now.
I asked around today. I was told there still are quarter gumball machines around.
So the ones I saw, at least in LA last time we were there, they have 2 slots now.
2 slots.
Yeah.
No. So there's a big nafkamina because in America, where there's a big jump from, we're not talking about the $50 that they printed 50 years ago, and that's not something that they make nowadays, right? It's not something that's common currency, the half dollars. So therefore, if a quarter no longer could buy you anything, which may be the case, it's definitely on the way there, and $1 is going to be a shava pruta, and that's a significant jump. Okay. Now, what if the item is a shava pruta to the guy who lost it, but not to the guy who found it? What's the example? Let's say you find one shoe. Yeah? How much is one shoe to the guy that found it? Nothing. Worthless. You throw it in the garbage. But the guy who lost it, it's for sure worth more than a shava pruta. Family picture. Yeah? The guy who found it, worthless. The guy who lost it, it's worth more than a shava pruta. So Zak, the Chazon Ish and Ramosha, they say that is considered something that's shava pruta. That's worth a shava pruta, and that is something that needs to be returned. Fine. So that's shava pruta. That's first heter. Now, next heter is if the item was lost into a place that's very unlikely to be found. One more time, the item is lost in a place which is very unlikely to be found. So the Zuta Shel Yam, the watch, the fisherman, the watch goes off falls off his arm. There's a classic example. This is much more common stuff, right? Watch falls off his arm into the ocean, and the guy says, "I'm going to get it back no matter what. I don't care. I'm getting it back." And like 2 hours later, a guy catches a big fish, cuts it open. His watch is, the second fisherman cuts open the fish. The first guy's watch is in there. Who gets to keep the watch? The second guy gets to keep the watch, because it's considered like an automatic automatic giving up the spare loss of ownership of the first guy, and the second guy could keep it. Another example could be where somebody drops their ring down the drain and thinks it's gone. And 2 months later, the plumber comes and goes and opens up the drain, and hey, look, I found the ring. The plumber could keep it. Because the first person, when he lost that, once again, if they had a chashash, it was stuck in the drain, that's a different story. I'm not talking about what. That's a good question. Let's keep it for now at the public sink. Yeah, let's keep it in the public sink. There's what to discuss about whether the house is kind of in such a scenario, may not be. But let's talk about by the public sink, and we know who lost it. Because everybody heard that when the person said, "Oh no, I can't believe it! I will drop it down the sink. It's gone for And then the next guy, I'm going to find it no matter what. And they take the flashlight, they can't find it, whatever. And they all thought it was gone. But then 2 months later, when the plumber, he opens it up, guess why? And he finds the ring there. It belongs to the plumber. Will there be a nimashur sadin to give it back? Maybe, but la halacha, no. Fine. Next. If the... by the way, I just want to point out, the Ramah does point out in such case there is a mishur sidin to return it. But once again, la halacha, it's not a requirement. Now, if the item probably belongs to a guy, then there is no chiyuv hashava. Once again, the item probably belongs to a guy. There is no chiyuv. Well, I don't know who the owner is. Well, you could assume that it probably belongs to a guy if it's a place of mostly goyim, or it's an area where mostly goyim pass by, or it's indicative from the item that it belongs to a guy. The famous example: you find the cross. It probably belongs to a guy. Or you find a beautiful ring and it has in the inside Christina Jackson, whatever, written in it. So the halacha is there is no chiyuv hashava to a guy. Right? Now, but if not returning it will create a chil Hashem, then one has to return it. And by the way, this is getting more and more common with video surveillance all over the place. So if it's the type of thing that somebody who looks from is likely going to be caught on video picking up the item, then they would have to return it. But if nobody's going to be caught on video, then there is no chiyuv of returning it. But once again, there's video cameras, there's trackers, there's you have to be smart on your thing. Now, the Torah says not only is there no chiyuv to return it, you can't return it. You are not allowed to return it. So a lot of people are going to be a little turned off or surprised by that. The Sma explains, what's the problem? But you returning it to a goy, it's showing that why do you return lost objects? Not because you want to fulfill the mitzvah, not because you want to do what's right in the eyes of Hashem, because you think it's a nice thing to do. So you're showing the whole thing is not l'shem mitzvah. It's just l'shem being a nice person. Which, by the way, I agree, this might rub some people the wrong way. Like, aren't we supposed to be nice people? So we'll put in perspective with the second reason as well. When we put them together, it will work. Some say there's another reason why you can't return it. Because when I find that ring that says Christina in it, right? Who is the owner of the ring right now? Me. So if I own the ring, and I'm giving a present now, when I give it to Christina, so that is loitis choinin. I am not allowed to give gifts to Goyim. I'm wasting some Yiddish geld, and I'm going and giving it to Goyim. So therefore, I'm not even doing what's right. I'm doing an Isser, which once again, this Isser surprises a lot of people that there's such an Isser, like Schoinen. But I'm not allowed to give free gifts to a guy. So it's my ring, and I'm giving it to the Shiksa, Christina. That's not a good thing to do. So, no, so that's not a good thing to do.
However, because of Kiddush Hashem.
Very good. So the Shulchan Aruch says that if you return it to create a Kiddush Hashem, Harizem Mishubach. That is a very good thing to do. Now the question is, if it's usher for me to return it, so how could doing it isser be a Kiddush Hashem? This is the Gilan question. How could it be a Kiddush Hashem to do with usher? That's a Chilul Hashem, not a Kiddush Hashem.
No, it depends on the mind. If the mind is, I want to be a nice guy, give him a toner, then the Issur comes with his choinen. But if in your mind is, no, I'm doing now this for you, Hashem, to be Mekadosh Shemayim, they should see how Yidden is the best nature, and it should be Kavod Gilu Hashem, then this is Kiddush Hashem.
Okay.
Depends on the mind.
So, good. But you have to add one more point then, than coming on the line. The whole nature of Loitis Choinen, no, you are acquiring it. It's yours. The whole nature of Loitis Choinen is you're not allowed to give free gifts. This is my own shot, but I think it's good. You're not allowed to give free gifts. All the places can say, for example, you want to give your cleaning lady a present so she works well for you. That's not a problem. That's a barter. That's a business transaction, that gift. And you're allowed to give your employees gifts because you're serving you. When you give a gift to that Christina, when you're giving her the ring, in this example, you're making Jews look good. This is self-serving. You're doing it to make Jews look good. And if you're doing it to make Jews look good, it's for yourself. And that's not Loitis Choinen. B'meila, it's not B'chal the Isser. B'meila, Harizem Mishubach. Yeah? Okay. Now, you got to be very careful with this. People are going to be very surprised. I'm sure I'm going to get people are going to be surprised with this. You ready? Somehow an item came to me from this mom and pop shop. Right? I didn't order it, and it came to my house anyways. I walked back with my yarmulke in to return it. Harizem Meshubach. I go return it wearing my cap. They don't know I'm Jewish. Aser Gomer. Yeah, same action. With the yarmulke, Kiddush Hashem, Harizem Meshubach. I go returning it wearing the cap they don't see, Isser Gomer. You ready? Like this. I go and Amazon already refunded me, yeah? Amazon refunded me for, I bought something, I decided I don't need it, I got refunded from Amazon. And they sent me the item anyways. Right? If I just go and send it back to Amazon, Isser Gomer. I'm doing a Hashavas Aveida to a guy. Did I create a Kiddush Hashem? No. Nobody knows this. Nobody realizes, whatever. Assuming that Amazon, you might want to say a company might be different, but without that chiluk, Isser Gomer.
Maybe they want to test if the Jewish Yid not.
No, they don't want to test the Jewish Yid. That's not what's going on.
You're returning it online now.
You're returning it online.
Moishi Rosenblatt.
Maybe. Kulai v'ulai, but I still don't think so. If you call up on the phone and you say, and the person answering, you say, listen, I'm a religious Jew, and I got this item that I didn't pay for, and therefore I want to return it. So please, whatever my return, accept my return. Maybe that would work. But the truth is, I think the person in India on the other side of the line is just like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? If you go to the mom and pop shop who owns the store and whatever, or even if you go to Walmart, but you step in there in person with your yarmulke and say, here, I got this item which I didn't deserve, you know, create a Kiddush Hashem. Are you really creating Kiddush Hashem when you the 10 seconds to, it's like, I feel like it barely registers by that lady in India who's answering the phone for Amazon. And therefore, I'm not convinced by it. Are we at Ma'ariv now, or are we have a couple more minutes?
I don't think they're having that service.
I don't think they're having. Okay, so let's keep on going then. So, okay. Now, if I haven't offended anybody yet, I'll try to do it now. What about returning an item to a chiloni?
Depends what kind of a chiloni.
Depends what type of chiloni. Very good.
Erev Rav, no?
So the Shulchan Aruch says that you should not return an item to somebody that is oichel nevelis lahachas, a dafkenik, a guy that is dafka doing yisurim. You should not return a lost item to him. Or somebody who's a machal Shabbos b'far hesia, you should not return a lost item to it. However, if somebody's merely a oichel nevelis l'teavon, he's just a baal teva, and that's why he eats nevelis. That's why he does bad things. He's just a baal teva. Him, you do return a lost object to. So, Mama shiur answer, it depends what type of chiloni. So let's get involved for a second. Zot the Chazanish, the famous Chazanish, he says most of the chilonim nowadays have a din of tinuk shenishpa. They don't know better. They're like, they're born into the system. They don't know better, and therefore they don't have a din of a mummer or a eichel nevelis lahachas. And therefore, you would return a lost item to the chiloni. Ramosha.
But you can't. Whatever. I have this whole debate about Tinuk Shnish, not to get off topic. But
Yeah.
I'm saying. But
I'm going to debate. I'm going to simply about Ramosha. It doesn't hold to that whole thing in a second.
no, I'm saying some guy who grows up in Timbuktu, fine. But if you were born and raised in Yerushalayim around a bunch of
Good.
people on that.
So that's where Yoshiv holds. There's no such thing as a Tinuk Shnishba in Yerushalayim. Ramosha also didn't hold to this Tinuk Shnishba. He calls them in multiple places these Rishayim and these whatever. And that's what was, even though Ramosha was a very nice man, but he doesn't.
What you saying that by who?
By all these non-from people.
Yeah, but in America, no.
So it depends in anywhere close to from neighborhoods. No, he says in New York they're not Tinuk Shnishbas in New York.
But out of town.
Out of town. He says no. He's masking out of town. He says there's no Tinuk Shnishba in New York. That's what Ramosha says.
Good, thank you.
So and Ramosha says the same thing. So Ramosha, who's usually very not so lenient, over here for some reason he goes away from his general stance, and he says that this guy who grew up in a non-from society, you can't call him Eichel Nevelas Lahachas. You can't call, and therefore you would return a lost object to the non-from guy. Even though when it comes to like Bishul Akum and stuff like that, he doesn't take on the svara of Tinuk Shenishba, but over here it says you can't call him Eichel Nevelas Lahachas. Now, what about Machal Shabbos B'Feresia? So it's actually interesting. There's the Mishnah Brura. Mishnah Brura says that somebody that wouldn't be Machal Shabbos in front of a big rabbi doesn't have a din of Machal Shabbos B'Feresia. Something that I thought was very interesting. Like tonight, I saw Reb David Yosef by the Haklan Sefer Torah over there. If Reb David Yosef or Reb Yitzchak Yosef walked down the street in Tel Aviv on Shabbos, every Sephardi guy would drop his cigarette, quickly put his phone in his pocket. At least 95% of the Sephardim would quickly, put their phones away, drop their cigarettes or whatever it is on Shabbos, they would not be Mechal Shabbos in front of Rav Yitzchak Yosef or Rav David Yosef, right? So that means, the guidelines of the Mishnah Berurah, the Sfardim in this country, at least 95% of them, in my opinion, do not have a din of Mechal Shabbos for Hesiyah. Now the Ashkenazim, we can't say the same, but okay.
What's the reason why Ashkenazim?
I mean, I'm just speaking about the Metzias. The reason, that's a good long discussion. They don't have respect for Rabbanim, whereas the Sfardim have respect for Rabbanim. Yeah.
The Chiloni Sfardim have respect for Rabbanim. Even a lot of Rome Ashkenazim don't have respect for
Right,
Rabbanim.
correct. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Now, fine. Fine. So let's put this into perspective. So if you find the item in a Sfardi Chiloni area, we're saying you would have to return it to try to find the owner. But if you found it in a Ashkenazi Chiloni area, so you would not have a chiyuv for returning it. However, Chil Hashem for not returning it is definitely a strong consideration amongst Chiloni places. All right, next case where you don't have to return it is Zakin ve'ena lefi chvoidei. Zakin ve'ena lefi chvoidei. What is that case? So that case is somebody, the classic example that they tell you in 5th grade is, if the Rosh Hashiva found a baseball bat, it's pasnished for him to walk around with a baseball bat or a basketball, and therefore he wouldn't have to return it. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm just too new school, I don't know. I don't think it's so bad for a Rosh Hashiva to hold a basketball or a baseball bat. I think like a Barbie doll. You know what I'm saying? The Barbie doll is Zakin ve'ena lefi. So bad for the Rosh Hashiva to have a basketball. So passionate. Oh, maybe Rav Yitzchak Yosef. No, if you don't want to talk about like the Gadol Hadar with the basketball, whatever, Beseder. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I know that's what my Rebbe in 5th grade told me is the Rosh Hashiva with the baseball bat. I don't think it's so bad. I don't know. Maybe. I guess we could argue. But yeah, a Barbie doll. That's Einil Chvichvaydei. Or another example of Einil Chvichvaydei is where it could be a regular item, but the location, let's say it's under the car. So the Rosh Hashiva doesn't need to crawl under the car to get the item, because it's Einil Chvichvaydei for him to crawl under the car. That makes sense. Now, by the way, when we say Zakin and Einil Chvichvaydei, we don't only mean it could be a young Talmid Chacham, and it could be respect. The Aruch HaShulchan says it could be a respectable person, even if he's not a dignified person, even if he's not specifically a big Talmid Chacham. But anybody dignified doesn't need to go be undignified in returning an item. Could somebody be meichel on their kavod? So the Mechaber says, yes, but you can be meichel on your kavod and decide to return it. Rama says, no, kavod haTorah. Yeah, you can't be meichel on the kavod haTorah, and therefore you can't just decide you're going to return it. Now, I think in the Aruch HaShulchan's example of the dignified person there, everybody would agree that you could be meichel on your kavod and return it. Now, the yardstick to determine whether it's lefi chvoidei or not lefi chvoidei is if it was your item, would you deal with it? If it was your item and you wouldn't deal with it, then you don't have to deal with somebody else's. But if you would deal with it as your own item, then you have to deal with it. The Shulchan Aruch says, not worth your time. Once again, I'm not talking about lost wages. I'll discuss that next week in Mitzvah. I'm not talking about lost wages. But it's just like, it's not worth my time financially. This heter doesn't apply. This heter applies when it's based on it's not dignified for you to do it. But not worth your time, this heter does not apply. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. 2 more examples. Actually, I'm going to just give one this week, and the last one will be for the upcoming week because it's going to be very detailed. This is an interesting one. What about if an item is muksa on Shabbos? Do I have to return it?
Or just an Isser during the week?
Yeah, but let's it could be koyin and basic forest. There's stuff to discuss, but let's simpler than koyin or nazar in the basic forest. Let's keep it simple. The item is muksa. Do I have to return it?
Obvious no.
Obvious not.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Kind of muksa.
Yeah, it's muksa machmas kufay. Strong muksa. So you ever heard of asay doicha loisa say? We have a call. Asay is doicha loisa say. And if asay is doicha loisa say deraisa, surely asay is going to be doicha isser derabanan of muksa. So what do you think? You should pick up that muksa item in Shabbos. Pick up the phone and find the owner. Maris ayin, another derabanan. Asay doicha loisa say. Huh? And even if it was deraisa, you would say, "Say deraisa." Say, "Kavod abrius, beautiful, another derabanan." The deraisa. By the way, it reminds me. Why do we have a heter of zakin in the Friday? Make it tasty. Since when do we have a kavod abrius saying, "Oh, you don't have to do this deraisa. It's kavod abrius. You don't have to do the deraisa." It's not. Oh, it's not lefich Friday. Kavod abrius. It's a deraisa. We only see kavod abrius being mad to derabanan. So pshat is. Oh, no one ever mattered the races for kavod abrius. No, chas v'shalom. So what's pshat by zaken v'enofik v'yday? It's a limit, it's a miyat from the pasuk. So the pasuk says there are some times that you don't have to return it. What's those times? Zaken v'enofik v'yday. It's either you could, if you want to put on your lumdish head, it's either there's no chiyuv in such a scenario, or there's a chiyuv with a deraisa patur. However you want to view it. So that's how. But now back to our case of muksa. I don't care. You can tell me, Ma'asayin, muksa, kavod abrius. Pick up the phone on Shabbos and find the owner. B'mekayim mitzvah deraisa. Asay deicha loisa say. The ma'aseh the biur halacha was in Suffolk whether you have to do this.
Wow.
However, don't worry. The Chassam Sofer, the Minchas Yitzchak Em Shalom Zalman, all say that don't pick up the phone. Don't do it.
What's this?
Why not? We only say the aside of asay deicha loisa say when the asay and loisa say happen simultaneously. It's only when they happen at the same time. But over here, at the time of picking up, I'm already getting into the isser of muksa, and I'm only mekayim the mitzvah of returning it when I find the owner. And therefore, since it's not at the same time, we won't say asay deicha loisa say. One more example, similar. Because l'chayra, the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveida is one long mitzvah. So you could argue being kind of mitzvah the whole time that you're picking it up.
As soon as I pick it up, I'm
You're already starting to do the mitzvah.
Yeah, l'chayra, that's probably the basis of his suffix. Now, one more case, you have an Erev. Good Erev, fine Erev in town. I don't hold the Erev. I don't use an Erev b'chal. You know, but that's beautiful Erev. I don't use the Erev. And there's somebody lost. There's a watch on the floor.
So don't be machmon the cheshbon's acher.
Oh, you can't. Well, you couldn't put it on and wear it.
I hold it for Moshe. I don't wear. A man doesn't wear a watch on without an Erev.
Everything nicely. You can't have a cheshbon.
All right, whatever. It's something that I forget to watch. Maybe the watch you get something that you really have to pick up.
Don't be
machmon. Should that be mutter? Because then you're putting it on. You're picking it up in a place that you hold is outside the Erev.
No, once again, if I don't,
I go inside.
Oh, so once again, a man, Lefira Moshe, a man doesn't wear a watch on Shabbos.
I'm saying, forget that. If I'm outside of an Erev, and I see a watch and I pick it up and put it on my wrist, and then I go inside without Rav Moshe, I hold it at Mutter, and I go inside into the Rishus Yach and I put it down.
You're okay. Yeah.
I'm not transferring it.
No, because when you were standing still and you put it on, you're okay. And then when you walked, you weren't carrying because it was a levisha. Yeah. There's an example in the Gemara of finding tefillin. Right. There's an example which is pretty much the same exact thing, and we were allowed to do that.
So now, don't be machmir on somebody else's cheshbon.
So we were hearing here a vada we shouldn't be machmir on somebody else's cheshbon. Zakt Reb Chaim Kanievsky, don't pick it up.
What?
We can't tell you to pick it up. If you don't hold it in the air, we can't tell you to pick it up.
Why?
Because for you, it's like it's usher.
Yeah, but it's for him as a chumrah. It's not a mikra adin.
So that's you see what we could debate. Okay, so we're gonna.
If it's mikra adin, yeah.
All right, we're going to have to tie up our loose ends next week, but just for quickly to sum up what we said so far this week, the main points is if you find derech hanacha items placed in a safe place, don't touch it. If an item is placed in a super public place, you can keep it because you could assume that the owner just left it there. He threw it out. I don't know if I even ended up getting back to this, but it's something called Aveida Midas. You assume that he left it there. He doesn't want it. Nobody would place their item in such a dangerous place. If it's a suffix place, if it has a siman, take it and be machris. If it doesn't have a siman, then just leave it there. And then what if the item fell? If the item fell, then you could always assume that it's a Aveida. And once again, without getting involved with yish, etc., if the item looks like it fell, wherever it is, you're going to pick it up and try to find the owner. And we got into many of the exceptions where you do not have to return the item, such as if it's not worth the shava pruta. We also discussed a scenario of Zakin Venel where it's beneath your dignity. We also discussed that if it was lost in a place where it's unlikely to be found, if it's lost in a place where it probably belongs to Goyim, and maybe one or two more that I forgot. But most of these cases, if it's muksa on Shabbos, there's certain cases you don't have to return it, but everywhere else you have to return it. Thank you guys for listening.